Hi everyone, and thanks so much for tuning in to our presentation on coconut rhinoceros beetle. My name's Koki, and I'm here with Kylie, and we're going to be talking about this invasive beetle and what you can do to help us protect Hawaii's palm trees. So what is a CRB anyway? The coconut rhinoceros beetle adult is a 2-inch black beetle. It's shiny and it has a hard casing, and it has that prominent horn. But the beetle doesn't always look like this. Earlier in its life, it's an egg that's laid in a mulch pile, decomposing green waste, compost, anything like that. And then after it hatches, it grows through larval instar stages, getting bigger and bigger until finally it pupates, and then it emerges as an adult. So they're going to spend most of their life in the decomposing green waste material, and then after they pupate, that's when they'll leave the pile. So coconut rhinoceros beetle are native to Southeast Asia, but in Hawaii, they're an invasive species. Now we get to watch a little video about how the coconut rhinoceros beetle moves. So as you can see, it's kind of slow in its movements, but it has those strong front legs and a horn, which it uses to feed. Next, we're going to take a look at how the larva moves. So this is a coconut rhinoceros beetle larva in a mulch pile, which is where it would establish a breeding site. And you can see that they're quickly digging down, kind of using their movement on their side to get deep into the material. So if you're in your garden and you see a larva like this, definitely report it to us. We'll show you how to do that at the end of this presentation. So what about invasive species in Hawaii as a whole? The first species in Hawaii arrived by the 3 Ws. Maybe you heard about that in your environmental science or biology class. So that's wind, waves, and wings. So those native species are plants and animals that arrived here without any help from people. And here, there are nearly 20,000 native species, and most of those are found nowhere else in the world. So over millions of years, those species evolved together, creating really healthy ecosystems. And then humans came in and brought in some new dynamics that changed the way those ecosystems function. So human introduced invasive species are a big problem here in Hawaii. 90% of our food and consumer goods are imported, and every time that import happens, there's a risk of bringing a new species. So over 10,000 plant species have been introduced, and 418 new marine and brackish water species have been found. So those invasive species cause damage to more than 200 ecosystems here. The way we keep an eye out for which invasive species come are at airports and other ports of entry. We'll monitor those imported goods. And the Kahului Airport Risk Assessment found that we have an average of 1 new pest per day. Some of those, it's just a one-off, a hitchhiker on some kind of shipment that we're able to catch right at the airport. But sometimes if that pest gets out, then it can cause a real problem to Hawaii's ecosystem. So with us, with the coconut rhinoceros beetle response, we care about the impacts that coconut rhinoceros beetle can cause to palm trees. So as you might have guessed, CRB like coconut palms, but they also feed on royal palms, date palms, and fan palms like our native lolus. So what do? They burrow into the crown of the tree using their strong front arms and their horn, and they leave behind this borehole. So they're trying to get to the innermost sphere where new fronds are emerging. And then once that frond grows to maturity, you can see that it has a distinctive V-shaped cut and all the little leaflets have scalloped edges. So that's evidence that maybe a CRB had fed on that palm in the past.
Look at this picture here. This shows annual CRB finds between the years 2013 and 2020. Coconut rhinoceros beetle was first discovered at Mamala Bay Golf Course in December of 2013. The response started shortly thereafter. Unfortunately, when it was discovered, there was already a small breeding population of coconut rhinoceros beetle. Over the course of 7 years, we have seen some spread into Central and West Oahu, while our hotspot areas remain Pearl City Peninsula, Iroquois Point, and Waipio Peninsula. and this is an invasion curve. It makes the case for deploying preventative measures as a low-cost means to invasive species protection. Basically, the cheapest way to prevent invasive species is to catch them before they arrive. As the area of infestation grows, so do the costs associated with controlling an invasive species over time. So what do we do at the Coconut Rhinoceros Beetle Response? Well, we're a pretty big team. We have our field crew that monitors our traps island-wide, looks for tree damage, and finds and mitigates breeding sites with the help of our canine team. The canines are trained to sniff out CRB and help us to locate breeding sites in places where we haven't found before. There's also our data team, which takes all of the information that's collected in the field and analyzes that for reports. And then we also have us on the outreach team, and we meet with stakeholders and community members to raise awareness about coconut rhinoceros beetle. We're also partnered with the University of Hawaii, and they help us research new ways to treat and stop the spread of coconut rhinoceros beetle. So what is our mission? Our mission is to protect Hawaii's communities, industries, and natural environment from the threats and impacts of coconut rhinoceros beetle through eradication. And eradication just means that we have no catches for at least 3 years. Some of the activities we do to reach our goal is trapping, identifying and mitigating breeding sites, surveying for damage, implementing green waste pest management practices, and raising awareness. You may have seen some of our black panel traps island-wide. We have about 3,100 or more traps that are checked by our field crew every 1 to 4 weeks, so it's a really big job. The beetle is attracted to a pheromone scent in the lure, and they fly towards the trap. Coconut rhinoceros beetle is night active, so they can't see the traps, the black panel traps at nighttime. They'll fly towards the lure and hit the panel and fall into the cup. Because their wingspan is greater than the hole at the top of the cup, they can't escape. We also have barrel traps that are deployed in some of our highest catch areas. Those are filled with mulch and also attract beetles in the same way that the pheromone scent panel traps do. So how can you help? We ask that the public report any fallen traps, suspected tree damage, or CRB sightings to the response. We're looking for V-cuts and boreholes, like Koki mentioned, any larvae or black beetles that you think might be coconut rhinoceros beetle, and we also want to make sure our traps are all working properly so that we can catch as many beetles as we can. Now that you've seen our presentation, click the link in the description below to find our scavenger hunt activity. As you search through your neighborhood, this will help you determine how risky your neighborhood might be for coconut rhinoceros beetle.